停了。
当你看过《仇恨夫人》《极致反差》《情敌变赘婿》等意想不到片段后，你看完还想看？
怎么办呢？
还想看？还想看？别急，
啥？
当真了，当真了。
来了！看完之后，你将体验到意想不到、精彩绝伦的朝堂怼父子兵，互抽互咬，互憋互爱，亲戚上门来要人
等惊喜内容和超爽画面，
继续我什么词？
打 call 上链接，
上链接！以下随哥几点？亲爱的家人们，点点左上角，
关注一下，
关注一下，
一笑随哥不迷路，缘分开始第一步。
上链接，多多关注，一笑随哥，一笑随哥。
刚才那个有押韵上，押韵上，押韵到也爽到，是不是？好，看看成功。
The atmosphere of the hotel ballroom in Shanghai feels more lively than usual. Sparkling stage lights, neatly lined cameras, and a large banner reading Fated Hearts Press Conference adorn the background in golden tones. As part of the promotion team in charge of coordinating media and guests, I'm used to the hustle and bustle of events like this. But as soon as Chen Zheyuan and Li Qin entered the room, the atmosphere seemed to change. It became softer, warmer, and full of charm that was hard to describe. The two walked side by side, wearing matching outfits. Chen Zheyuan was elegant in a light ash suit with a simple white shirt, while Li Qin was stunning in a pastel blue satin dress that fell gently on her shoulders. They looked like the two main characters in a classic love story, not just on screen, but in the real world. Instantly, all eyes were on them. And to be honest, I was hooked. Before the show started, I saw them backstage. Li Qin sat on the makeup chair, having her hair done by the stylist. Chen Zheyuan stood not far away, playing the tip of the wireless microphone in her hand while watching Li Qin's reflection in the mirror. "Are you ready, Qin?" he asked casually. Li Qin glanced through the glass reflection and smiled a little. Heartbeat. "I'm always nervous at events like this." Zheyuan laughed softly. "Relax, I'm right next to you. If you're nervous, just look at me." Li Qin shook his head slowly while holding back a laugh. "You like sweet talk, don't you?" "Not for you," he replied quickly. "I'm the one standing in the corner recording the sequence of the show's segments, almost laughing." Their conversation was so natural, without being far-fetched. It was like watching a pair of old friends who were completely comfortable with each other. When the MC began calling the main cast up to the stage, the audience's applause immediately filled the room. Chen Zheyuan and Li Qin stepped forward together, standing next to each other in the center of the stage. The cameras flickered from all directions, and as usual, the two of them smiled softly at each other whenever their names were mentioned. What was interesting was that, whenever Li Qin spoke, Chen Zheyuan always paid attention to him, not just politely, but attentively. He even had time to quietly rotate Li Qin's microphone slightly when he seemed to have difficulty adjusting the height of the mic stand. "Let you be comfortable," he said quietly between pauses of laughter in the audience. Li Qin just lowered his head a little, smiled, then continued his answer to the reporters. There was something in the way they looked that made the people in the room smile involuntarily. Their chemistry not only shows up in the drama Fated Hearts, but also radiates in the real world, in every gesture, in every little sentence they throw at each other. When the question and answer session began, a reporter asked in a curious tone, "Li Qin, which scene was the most difficult for you to play with Chen Zheyuan?" Li Qin chuckled a little before replying, "The difficulty is not because of her acting, but because she likes to joke too much in between takes. Sometimes I can hardly help laughing." Zheyuan quickly chimed in. That's so the atmosphere is intense. But in the end the result is good." "It's good that I'm the one who stays focused," Li Qin replied in a joking tone. The whole room laughed. Even the MC commented, "Wow, I think your chemistry is still carried over from the set, yes?" Zheyuan just shrugged and looked at Li Qin with an ignorant smile. "It's not just carried, it might not be lost." The audience in attendance immediately cheered boisterously. I stood on the right side of the stage trying to hold back the laughter, but it was hard. because their interaction was so sweet and spontaneous. It doesn't feel contrived, but sincere and warm. After the formal session was over, they sat in the talk show chairs for a little game prepared by the promotion team. How well do you know your co-star? Each of them was given a small blackboard to write down the answers to questions about the habits of their co-stars. The MC asked, what was Li Qin's favorite food on set? Chen Zheyuan wrote quickly and raised his blackboard. Boba milk tea with extra ice. Li Qin was surprised and laughed. How do you remember? Zheyuan replied casually, I'm the one who used to take you boba every afternoon. Li Qin lowered his head in embarrassment while laughing. Yes, that's right. The next question. It was Chen Zheyuan's little habits that upset Li Qin the most? Li Qin wrote something and immediately laughed to himself before showing him the answer. Disturb me at the dialogue rehearsal. Chen Zheyuan pretended to be shocked. You know, I'll just help. Li Qin shook his head with a smile. Help make the concentration disappear, yes. Everyone in the room laughed. That simple game moment manages to make the atmosphere relaxed and full of laughter. But behind all the jokes, there is a real warmth that everyone can feel. They really understand each other, like two people who have worked together for a long time, know each other's habits and ways of thinking by heart. Finished the main event, a joint photo session began. I noticed how Zheyuan, with a small but polite reflex, made sure Li Qin's position was comfortable before the camera took a picture. He tilted his body slightly to make Li Qin appear more prominent in the frame. And in between flashes of camera lights, they had a small whisper to each other while smiling. Don't smile too wide, your cheeks will hurt, Zheyuan said in a half-whisper. Li Qin looked at him while laughing softly. And you too, don't get carried away. Don't worry if I'm standing next to you. It's hard not to smile, Zheyuan replied lightly. I, who stood just a few steps away from the stage, almost lost focus on my work because of that little interaction. The photographers seemed happy. Every time they smiled or looked at each other, the camera shutter seemed to stop beeping. Backstage after the show was over, the atmosphere was much more relaxed. The crew was busy tidying up the equipment. Reporters began to leave the room, while Zheyuan and Li Qin sat on the long sofa, enjoying warm tea. It's finally over too, Li Qin said with a sigh of relief. Zheyuan looked at him, still with her warm smile. You were so cool. The answer to your question is simple, but funny. Li Qin chuckled a little. You are also not bad, although you like to sneak rags in between answers. Let the atmosphere be sweet, he replied lightly. Sweet or making a scene, said Li Qin slowly, his eyes gleaming idly. Zheyuan laughed. If you're in the mood, then it works. Both laugh at the same time. From where I stand, the scene looks like the closing scene of a perfect drama. Two people who appreciate each other, sharing a laugh behind the hustle and bustle, without trying to be anyone but themselves. When they finally prepared to leave the location, Li Qin stepped first towards the door. However, when her dress was slightly stuck in the chair, Zheyuan quickly lowered her head, helping to take it off without saying much. Thank you, Li Qin said softly. It's my job to play, he replied. I watched their backs as they walked side by side out of the room, still talking casually, still smiling. The stage lights began to turn off, but for some reason, the warmth of their interaction remained even after the show ended. For some, it may just be part of the promotion. Two big stars who maintain a good image in front of the public. But for those of us who looked closely, who felt every look and that little smile, we knew there was something more sincere between them. Chen Zheyuan and Li Qin's chemistry didn't stop on screen, nor did it stop on set. It lives in their every step on stage, in every spontaneous joke, and in every little attention they give each other unconsciously. And as I stared at the huge banner that read, Fated Hearts, the love story that captivated millions, I thought to myself, perhaps the reason the story feels so real to the audience is because of the love and warmth they radiate not just while acting, but also in real life behind the light of the spotlight.